Punch-Out for the NES is one of the most memorable games of its era. It's remembered by its difficult but satisfying gameplay, the puzzle-like fights, the memorable characters, but most importantly, it's remembered by its final boss, Mike Tyson. He is still regarded as one of the most difficult video game bosses. Beating the boxing legend was a respectable feat among kids back then. What is the story behind Nintendo and Tyson's partnership? Let's find out. The first two Punch-Out games were successful arcade titles, and Nintendo wanted to replicate their successes on their well-sold home console, Nintendo Entertainment System. The game was already in development when Nintendo of America president Minoru Arakawa watched 19-year-old Tyson's match and was impressed by the young fighter's skill. This wasn't the champion Mike Tyson. He had made his professional debut only a year prior at the age of 18. He wasn't a champion at the time, but he was becoming a star. Arakawa proposed that Nintendo should include Tyson in their upcoming Punch-Out game. Nintendo and Tyson signed a 3-year licensing agreement, and because Tyson was a new and upcoming boxer, it was rumored Nintendo only paid $50,000 for this agreement. Nintendo made a good investment, because by the time Punch-Out came out, Tyson was already a heavyweight champion. Game was titled as Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Mike Tyson was the final boss of the game. He was so hard to beat, some people thought it was impossible to beat him without using some kind of secrets. There was a rumor that with the right button combination at the right time, the game's referee Mario would pull out a gun and shoot Tyson. It was a false rumor, of course. Tyson was beatable in the game and in the ring, as shown by Buster Douglas. The game sold very well. Retailers at the time spoke about how hard it was to keep the game in stock, especially after Tyson became the champion and his fame grew. The people's interest to the game also grew. Nintendo's investment paid off, but the licensing agreement was only for 3 years, and now it was over. Nintendo didn't want to renew the agreement as Tyson was a champion now, and it would be too expensive to make a new contract. Nintendo may have made this decision for many reasons. Tyson went through a divorce with actress Robin Givens. Givens accused Tyson of physical assault and spoke about her marriage with Tyson as torture, pure hell, worse than anything I could possibly imagine. Tyson also had his first loss against Buster Douglas in one of the biggest upsets in sport history. He wasn't undefeated anymore. These may have been different reasons for not renewing the contract. Nintendo re-released the game without Mike Tyson after expiration of the licensing agreement. He was replaced by a character called Mr. Dream as a final boss. By the time Nintendo was ready to release a sequel for SNES, Mike Tyson was in prison because of a rape conviction. Nintendo did not use Tyson for the sequel. At the time, a game called Power Punch 2, heavily inspired by the Punch-Out, was set to star Mike Tyson as a protagonist. However, after Tyson's rape conviction, the character was changed to a fictional one named Mark Tyler. He also didn't appear in the Wii Punch-Out game. When Nintendo brought their old games as part of an online service for Nintendo Switch, they also brought Punch-Out. However, this was a version with Mr. Dream instead of Tyson, as their licensing agreement expired many years ago. Tyson expressed his concerns about this in his tweets. In the end, Nintendo sold millions of copies of Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. They invested in a young boxer who could become a champion one day. And he did. He became a boxing legend. I'm Orkun. Thanks for watching me. And let's meet next week.